This ramblings is being recorded and will be uploaded to a channel for viewing later. And they will all be recorded from now on.
Well, good to know you got that promise out of the way.
I know. It took me, 2 years?
Yeah, you strung us along for 2 years. We were all waiting for that.
You're not being
recorded. It has been recording the whole time.
No, it started when I said it was being recorded. But anyway.
You didn't get Mess's lunchbox talk.
Yes, exactly. That's why I waited for him to fucking shut up.
God damn it.
So,
I mean, to be fair, I don't think your audience would have been very interested in that.
Yeah. So, I was going to do a episode on Fleet's random, not Fleet's random ramblings. When Texas 1914 was sent back to the War of 1812. But unfortunately, my required co-host for that is unavailable, owing to problems. No.
It was dragged through the streets like Gaddafi.
No, his mother had her arm broken by a cow literally 10 minutes before we were supposed to start.
Oh, damn.
I can't get a break in this fucking thing. Never mind.
No, you can't.
Anyway, so, just normal questions, please, until he gets back.
I actually don't know the answer to the typical gunnery officer's question if the Buccaneer is better than the A6.
Thoughts on the BR changes in War Thunder? I didn't know there were any.
Elaborate.
I do not follow War Thunder that closely, I'm going to be honest.
I've actually been clean since, 2021.
I play it for the events, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I've been clean since 2021 when you guys dragged me along for the Tailspin event.
Oh, that was good.
Why did you do that?
That was good. Tailspin was just the best thing. Like, 2 years in a row, it was just absolute fire, and I was 100% there for it.
Okay, not gonna lie, yeah, it was fun. That's honestly probably the most fun I've had in War Thunder. Even if the two concepts are not exactly mutually exclusive.
And we're never gonna see it again, and that is such a mood. And I'm like, no. Opinion, that they are Yugoslavian botch jobs designed to do a purpose.
I mean,
if they do the job, they do the job. It's if you have limited resources, you make do with what you can.
For 20 mils it's just a verbal vend on a budget, Yeah. It'll do it.
How long would the pre-World War I British BBs and BCs last post-war without a treaty? Not very long. They'll be out of the fleet by the mid-20s, if not earlier, to make room for more 16 and 18-inch gunships. Yeah. World War I and pre-World War I era battleships last all of about 5 seconds in a non-treaty world.
Yeah, because everyone realised after, even the very limited naval actions, all these designs have all of these problems. We don't want to put these back into service because they'll probably explode.
And also, they were vulnerable at Jutland, some of them.
Yeah,
with 13.5 and 12-inch guns shooting at them. If you're putting them up against things that have 16 or 18-inch guns, it's just... Would I get the HMS Renown? I do not have the time or patience to do that. Considering the hoops you have to jump through for it. RBG probably will, but I can't be bothered. I don't play War Thunder that much. I've got my battle cruiser, and that's the Congo, and I'm happy.
A typical gunnery officer asks, would I call the shotguns a war crime weapon in the First World War?
Considering poison gas was being used on a wide scale, and biological weapons were being developed. No, it's not a war crime, gunnery officer. It's just a fucking shotgun.
The only bars I will hold are the ones that are agreed upon by international law that don't guarantee my death.
I mean, chemical weapons.
Assuming the High Seas Fleet wasn't scuttled, if the Entente distributed the ships, who would get what? That basically depends on how much clout everyone has at the peace conference. The US will probably want at least Deflinger and Hindenburg. to give it some fast battle cruisers. The French will probably want as many German dreadnoughts and some of the older battle cruisers as they can lay hands on, because even those ships are superior to the ones they currently have in service. The British will want to keep the 15-inch gun-armed ships out of as many people's hands as possible, because for fairly obvious reasons.
Yeah.
No, the US didn't want to scuttle the fleet. The US
Didn't Japan get a single delegate in at the actual agreement there?
Yeah, but the Japanese have no interest in the German fleet. They are like the US. Like they're actually in a better position because they've got a fast wing to their battle line, and they've got, with the Congos, and they've got modern 14-inch armed capital ships, and they're building their first 16-inch ships as First World War One winds down, in the form of
so
Nagato
Japan's
and
interest in
Mutsu.
Germany comes later. Got you.
Yeah, so Japan's not bothered about getting any of the German fleet. They've got their own plans. It's really only the French and the Italians and the Americans that are really interested in the German fleet. The British will want to have Bayern and Baden for the sole reason to keep them out of anyone else's hands. Though the French will probably argue for and get Bayern and Baden in exchange for the US, with the US backing them, in exchange for the French backing the US to get Hindenburg and Lutzow. Basically.
Would you ever imagine the Apache, the tank it was designed to kill in the same... could you rephrase that? I'm confused.
Yeah. But first of all, we missed a question. How fast could the Nelson have gone if it received an engine refit? That's anyone's guess. Depends what engine refit it gets. Depends how much shaft horsepower you put down into the screws. We know she could break the mid-20s of knots. But it's hard to say. It's possible that with her hull form she could have kept pace with the KGVs, but we'll never know for sure. It's impossible to say.
Okay, so as I understand it, Mutsu, you're asking what would it be like if the Apache helicopter would be in the same army as like T-72s and T-90s?
I mean, are we gonna see at some point? Probably soon.
Possibly.
There's pretty much a non-zero chance we would never see that, but it would be pretty cool.
I mean, definitely see them fighting alongside each other because there's still enough T-72s knocking around in Eastern European.
Oh god,
arsenals.
yeah. I mean, it's happened. It's happened. Like the Poles have used them with American Apaches. It's happened. Like it's already happened. US Congress denies the USN the funding for a proper dreadnought race with the UK. Therefore, the RN has no technological race composition. Germany never stepped up gun caliber or firepower before the RN did. Will the RN still up gun caliber as normal? If so, would they do so once they kick the arse out of the 12-inch? First off, Sea Dodders, that's pretty much the historical timeline. Laying down 2 battleships every year was the entire US budget for that year. There wasn't a proper dreadnought race with the RN till 1917. And also the idea to kick up the gun caliber was not in response to the Americans. It was because the Germans had moved up to 12-inch. And so the British said, oh, the Germans have 12-inch. Well, that means we have to have 13.5-inch. What's the biggest gun caliber on the cruiser? The cruiser? Do you mean a cruiser? Or do you mean a specific cruiser? How would the USN use the standard any cruiser? It's basically a tie. Well, if we're going to nitpick, it's technically the 15-inch guns on hood.
Yeah, I guess.
If we're going to nitpick, but if I'm going to be not use and exclude battle cruisers, it's basically the Deutschlands. But no, sorry, it's not. No, it's the Alaskas with their 12-inch. Oh, bloody... Excuse me 1 second, but yes, it's the Deutschlands. No, sorry, it's not. It's the Alaskas. Alaskas, that's what I mean. It's the Alaskas.
Yeah, Alaska's 12 inches, yeah.
Maxim gun and an elephant. Wait, no. It's a literal elephant gun.
Well, I mean, that's what elephant guns are for. Guns to be hauled by elephants. But
No, originally I thought the term was for that it could literally take down elephants.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm getting confused. My term mule gun and elephant gun. Because
I was just
you
looking
get
at the
you get
image.
in India. Yeah, I was too, and I just had a brain fart. No,
Regarding
I'm
the
thinking,
Baltic project, how would a serious plan have looked like, and how would the High Seas Fleet play into it? I don't know that much about the Baltic project. I am vaguely familiar with it as a concept, but that's about as far as my knowledge goes. I don't know if it's a viable plan. I mean, it's a very interesting idea from Fisher. The problem is the High Seas Fleet and the Danish belts. This is the real kicker. No plan can be realistically done without committing the majority of the home fleet to an action on the Germans' terms, shielding a group of fast transports, cruisers, and the large light cruisers as they make a dash into the Baltic through the Danish belts. And you're basically asking the Germans to throw every single U-boat, torpedo boat, and perhaps even bomb-equipped airships at the relatively stationary Grand Fleet. You're basically saying, here, Germany, here is the literal thing you wanted. Go nuts.
Is that an F-15 Eagle that you've landed with one wing? One singular wing?
Yeah.
I wonder
how
why that
would
sounds...
the USN use the standard battleships if hostilities existed with Japan or Britain in the early 1930s? Since they have lower speed, but there were numerous standards the USN had at the time. Well, they'd basically use them as the hard-hitting hammer, the hard-hitting anvil to the hammer of their carrier fleet. That was US doctrine. It's what they've been practicing for with their fleet problems. It's literally the whole thing they've been working towards. That their carriers would be the hammer and damage the enemy fleet to a point where the standards could catch it, and with overwhelming firepower, kill it.
I know landing a plane is typically the hardest part of actually flying, but you have to admit even that's ridiculous.
I have always wondered this. Since it was a naval war, I guess it counts. There is Rose. There is no topic. Fleets Round Rambling is a topicless show most of the time, except when certain key events occur. But for now, it's currently just a general Q&A until my colleague hopefully returns at some point.
You can actually name it a general Q&A. Is nothing about this ramblings is random.
But I don't know. The UK cannot legally invoke Article 5 in response to the Falklands War. Because it wasn't a war.
Refuses to elaborate.
It wasn't a war. Neither side declared war on the other.
Why do people call it a Falklands War?
Because it's like we call the current Ukrainian war, because it is, but the war was not formally declared by international law. It's not a thing.
It's a special operation.
Shush. Why did underwater torpedo launchers fall out of favour? Basically, they were a massive flooding risk. You take a hit to a torpedo flat with a shell, and you've basically had that entire massive underwater space that's the size of multiple compartments flooded. And it doomed multiple ships. It doomed Lutzow at Jutland. If she hadn't had that forward torpedo tube, she would have not been sunk. She would have had one or two compartments flooded and would have made it home. But she didn't. So, she didn't.
On the similar topic of shit that malfunctions underwater, any of you guys have the image of the Trident D5 that basically had a little bit of a...
Can I please keep working through the questions, please?
I'm asking the audience. I'm allowed to ask the audience if they have a specific image.
FN FAL versus M14. FN FAL. It's not even a contest.
As I was saying, it was a Trident D5 that just basically spiraled out of control and then went back into the sea. Might find it myself.
What if Germany's industry was never bombed to ruin? Nothing happens. Nothing changes. Literally nothing changes. The Allies still win regardless. German industry is just that inefficient. German logistics is just that inefficient. It does not matter if the Allied bombing campaign does not occur. It literally doesn't matter. It's hard to overstate just how fucked the German economic system under Nazism was. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, basically, Germany holds up long enough to get nukes dropped on Berlin.
Okay, I found... Oh, Ada found it before me. Yeah, that was the one I was looking for. It's kind of not supposed to do that.
No, it is not. Do you think the Lancaster is a better strategic bomber than the B-29? No, because it isn't. The B-29 is better than the Lancaster in every conceivable metric. It Foxo, it's not horses for courses. The B-29 is just better.
What did you mean by that? Yeah, both had their special ones.
How do carriers balance the ship with the weight of the offset island? They just balance the ship for the weight of the offset island. You kind of answered your own question there. They just balance the ship accordingly.
Yeah, you sort of build it in such a way that you've got heavier stuff on one side.
Yeah, you just balance. I know it sounds daft, but you just balance it when you're designing it.
Yeah.
Like,
because as soon as you mean that they have to have like more stuff on one side, like more stores or more ballast water or something.
No, that's not how they.
That just becomes that like I believe it was tried and sort of ended up with lots of carriers falling over because people forgot to fill the ballast tanks or something.
Yeah, and they realised just design them for it. And also, it's a bit of superstructure. It's top weight, but it's not stupid levels of top weight.
Yeah, it's not ridiculously well armoured.
Yeah, it's not like... The only ships that really had to deal with this is the Lexingtons, with their 8-inch guns, set with their large superstructure. But even then, it's still nowhere near as big of a problem as it could be made out to be. Yeah, Foxo, the late ones had higher max load, but no range and pathetic defensive armament, and were slower.
Yeah. But 303s do not cut it by, 44, 45. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Damn Buster's bouncing bomb site. Okay.
Okay. Do you think the P40 is the stopgap pilot before the P51 and P47 came online in large numbers? No, it is not a stopgap. Just like the Hurricane wasn't a stopgap, just like the Spitfire isn't a stopgap, just like the Bf-109 isn't a stopgap. They are the early war fighters of every nation. The P40 is the early warfighter of the United States Army Air Corps. It is not a stopgap. Its performance in Africa and the Pacific should prove that.
It's just the next step from P-36. So, P-36 is good. What if we give it an inline engine, change some things up a bit? There we go. It's a decent fighter. They did their jobs, they worked well, they weren't as good as P-51s.
I'd argue that
they got replaced.
You have to really screw up to have something be called a stopgap aircraft, because it's important to bear in mind just how rapidly aircraft development was moving. The P-40 had a relatively short career because of just how quickly development was moving. And it's worth pointing out that the P-40 is to the Hawk, the Hawk airframe, what the Griffin engine Spitfire is to the Spitfire airframe. Like, bear in mind, the P-40 is still the basic Hawk airframe, just stretched and improved, from an airframe that started life in 1930. It's an airframe that's 6 years older than the Spitfires is. But the P-40 is to the early model P-36, which ironically didn't fly in, which ironically came into service in 36, but was development started much, much earlier. What the Griffin engine Spitfire is to the normal,
Merlin engine.
yeah, the Merlin engine Spitfire.
You guys remember when the Chinese made the WS-12 engines as like a stopgap for their J-20s?
No.
No.
It was back in 2021. They basically had the J-20s outfitted with WS-12
Oh boy,
engines.
Meta's on
like
a
a
wild trip
stopgap.
again.
So it was used as a stopgap before they got the more reliable WS-15 engines fitted.
I just don't know about.
I don't know
Not
why it's
Chinese
illegal to take
fighting
pictures of the
vehicles.
crown jewels.
Nor do I, honestly.
It just probably is because it's probably a twofold thing. One, because it's possibly to preserve the idea that you have to come and see them, which generates revenue to keep the Tower of London going, and also for security reasons, I suspect. It's probably something really simple like that. Did the US Ordnance Department ever look into making a long 75mm gun like the Panther Long 75? No, because the 3-inch anti-aircraft gun already existed, and so it's far better to develop that into a long-barreled weapon. Since you've already
Kinda like when
got
you
a
have your,
long-barreled 76.
Kind of like when you have your regional provinces have like stupid, goofy laws that have to actually be followed. If I had to guess. At the same
Why
time,
did
it's
the
even
P-47
like
gain the designation A-47 as an attacker? Because it's not a dedicated ground attack aircraft. Never was. It just slotted quite nicely into that role. But that's not what it was built for. Not what it was designed for. Not the role for which it was originally entered into service. So the designation stayed.
Yeah. Oh.
Speaking of goofy laws, what's that one place in Italy where it is illegal not to smile?
I don't think that's a thing. You've been
Milan.
you've been reading too many bloody fan fictions again.
How do you know? How do you know these things?
Because it was a rough guesstimate.
Yeah. Also,
Get out of my bloody search history.
quick little Google, and also a side note on the crown jewels thing is it's also probably because of flash photography can be damaging to things bright light, because it's in a pretty dark room to begin with very specifically angled lights, and some of the fabric work is pretty delicate. So you do need.
What
to
did
protect.
the Imperial Navy call their battleships?
What?
Battle cruisers.
Did the photons hurt their fifis?
Well, basically, it's because some of the diamonds used are very, very rare stones that can actually be damaged by flash photography. I
Well,
think.
and fabric. The fabrics.
Explain that one to
Fabrics
me. Explain that one to me. I've never heard this one in my
You're a
life.
bloody engineer. You explain it yourself.
Fabric fade under light. Everything is bleached by the sun, in some way or another.
Right.
You know, things that. So it's the same thing with the fabrics. You can't have. They rather not take the risk of letting people take photographs, which may include flash, and then sort of gradually fade the fabrics and make them less vibrant, make it. You know,
Darth
look duller.
Sidious, I'll just say this now. I am an amateur naval historian. I am not the kind of person who goes leafing through documents. Take that sort of question to Drac, because I am not going to be able to give you an answer.
Technically, I go leafing through documents myself, albeit not naval ones.
Or ones written in German.
Yeah, all ones written in German.
But my point is, that's not the sort of question I'm really equipped to answer. I'm more broad strokes and history rather than specific minutiae. Like
I have a German GCSE. Couldn't help you though.
Now, fuck my GCSEs. I'm technically a C student. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, I walked up C+. I walked up with 4s and 5s. that.
I had the pandemic, so I didn't sit any of them.
Damn.
Yeah. But then sixth form sucked, so there you go.
I'm not surprised.
I don't think I could stand sitting in a classroom after 6 years of just sitting in a classroom. Any more
Why
sitting in a
is
classroom?
it Navy's attempts to bury their fuck-ups, like the Cindy of Indianapolis or Lusitania? Well, Lusitania wasn't a Navy fuck-up. Like, that's just a liner got sunk.
Torpedoed.
Yeah, that's not the RN, because the RN has nothing that can keep up with the Lusitania.
And also, it's the First World War. What are your anti-submarine practices?
Yeah,
How do you sink a submarine? You don't have depth charges. And
You don't have
Guardian fire.
hydrophones. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
The fuck-ups lead to humiliation.
But
Humiliation leads to
the
lots of stress.
Indianapolis is a unique example because she was carrying atomic bomb parts.
Oh, but one thing I do think of the First World War, Albemarle? I remember the name.
Obama, what?
Haida, first they used something called explosive sweeps, which were long bits, which were contact explosives laid out on long chains behind the, basically swept out behind the destroyer and like sort of sunk at an angle, and basically the destroyer would drag them behind them and hope they contacted with a submarine. It's like a depth charge except tied to the ship. Then there was also, the concept of ramming them or shooting them whenever they were near the surface or a periscope was spotted.
Oh. Hang on, I can't remember.
Just noticed we've actually got a Lula in the audience.
There were claims they knew where U-20 was and didn't redirect anything to that area or the line away from the path of the U-boat. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that sounds realistic. Totally realistic. Definitely not some mockumentary bullshit. Yeah,
No,
let's
I've found it now.
let's have the RN deliberately get people killed for no fucking reason. Yeah, that.
Woo! Wait,
Yeah,
no.
that's- yeah,
that one
that's-
aside.
Yeah, that's a shockingly bad take.
I found it now. It was Audacious that hit a mine and sank.
Yes.
Early war. And was covered
The
up.
Royal Tank Regiment really want to get a 17-pounder in a Sherman, so they turned the Sherman into a casemate tank destroyer with a long-towed 17-pounder gun. What does this look like? It looks like a casemate Sherman with a 17-pounder. What were you expecting? And how much do German tankers hate it? They probably don't because it's probably quite unwieldy. And very
it's going to be really tall.
and also very well. It might not be as tall as a standard Sherman, but it's going to have a very, very distinctive silhouette, since it'll be the only casemate armored vehicle the Allies will be operating. So
Yeah.
A question for me: if Nagato Mutsu had survived the war, which Nagato did, would they have been repaired, modernized for JSDM service, or would they be turned? No, you really no. You get dragged. You either get you get examined, and then you get dragged off for scrap, or to be used in an atomic bomb test. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You are a defeated nation who has caused so much suffering over the last 4 years. You don't get to have nice things.
You get Doctor Strangeloved.
Quitty, Nagato did survive the war. She was expended in the Bikini Atoll tests. She's still there to this day. Yeah, done right. I'm sure it is. I know, Brent. I was being... Outside the Battle of Tsushima, are there any good pre-Dreadnought battles? Take your pick of any of the other battles of the Russo-Japanese War, because there were more than one. It was the last. It was the last. Yeah, it was the last war to have multiple fleet level engagements.
misbehaving nations get their toys taken away. So
US joins
Adam
World War
Mujahideen
One.
still have stingers.
Yeah. USA joins World War One the day after the Lusitania was sunk. What can the US bring to the Western Front in the Battle of the Atlantic? Well, first off, this isn't the Battle of the Atlantic. It's just the U-boat campaign in World War One. It's a completely different kettle of fish. Secondly, the US can't really bring anything to the Battle of the Atlantic because the convoy system isn't in service yet. Merchant ships are travelling alone. I suppose they can use their cruisers to patrol the Atlantic, and that'll probably help with deterring U-boat attacks on the surface, since they have to operate under prize rules. Although if the US is in the war, the Germans will be throwing the prize rules system under the bus, because the whole point of going back to it was to not have to deal with the US. Which will probably lead to the convoy system coming back in, which will probably just guarantee that basically be an earlier convoy system, which will help. But yeah, you get lots of fresh troops to the Western Front, and the war is basically over by 1916, 1917, because Germany now has no access to US trade, as opposed to the limited access they had up to late 1917.
Yeah, and now there's also, instead of the spring offensives of 1918, where the Germans had a sudden influx of troops, now the Allies get to do that years earlier. So probably the Russians civil war still going to happen, because
no, actually, because the Germans will be. Because the thing is, the Germans are winning in the east. They're winning in the east, so they can, as far as they're concerned, they can stop and go west, and send more troops to the west to bolster their western line. Now look at the offense, because the Brusilov offensive in late 1916. Actually, when was it? I just want to make sure I want to get my facts right.
Idiots, how can you hate Firefly? It's got Nathan Fillion in it.
So the Brusilov offensive in 1916, if you want to bear this for reference, it moved the front line westward by a good... Let me think.
Exactly. Oh, wait, you mean the tank? I thought you meant the show. Whoops.
Like, they retook hundreds, if not thousands, of square miles of territory from the Germans, and pushed the Austrians and Germans back. Now imagine that in a world, and this was mid-1916, the Russians lost 500 to 1 million men doing it. They took 500,000 to 1 million casualties, and the Germans and the entirety of the Central Powers took 760,000 to 962,000, which is nearly equal casualty numbers for a 1916 era World War I offensive that actually did achieve breakthroughs. And
I'm just thinking more about the whole political situation in Russia.
But the thing is, like, it was a shot in the arm the Russian government needed.
But less than a year later.
And the thing is, if the Germans have less and Austrians have less forces to contest the Brusilov offensive, it might not just be a major success. It may be the Brusilov offensive blows the Eastern Front wide open into a war of maneuver, which will not just be a shot in the arm. It'll be like, fuck me, we're winning. We're the Russians, and we're marching into East Prussia again, just like at the outbreak of the war. Like, it may even enable the Russians to march all the way back to the previous borders. Okay. Alright, so where were we? So where was I?
That is a good question, Query. What in the hell is that?
Okay, so that was that. That was that. That was that. That was that. Thoughts on the Clemson Wicks class? Some of the best World War I era destroyers. There's a reason why so many were built, because it was a chance for the US to get a good fleet of modern destroyers that could be future-proofed, or at least serve for a good decade.
Okay, so apparently it's the EB-52, so it's like an electronic warfare version of the B-52. That's still strange, though. That is so goddamn strange.
Mutsu, that's not ERA, those are track links. The the Mediterranean magically dries up at the start of World War II. How does this affect the Africa campaign? Well, first off, congratulations! World War II is over. Because the entirety of Europe is now a dust bowl, and there is a massive humanitarian crisis. Well done. There is no World War II. Nations are too busy trying to feed their populations and deal with mass refugee movements.
The V-tail is rather goofy, but I have seen goofier V-tails, like on the YF-23. Although that in itself is goofy only because of its freedom of movement.
Gunnery officer, the Russians don't need it. The Russians don't need it in World War I. What they need is the Germans to have to move troops west. If that happens, the Russians can handle the rest. Like, genuinely, the Russians can handle the rest.
You guys ever see the Batwing from Arkham Knight?
Teddy Roosevelt nomination and wins a third term. He's president in World War I. How fucked is the timeline? Very fucked. We've already dealt with this one. What if the US joins World War II? World War I, you mean, in 1915 and 1916? Like I say, the Russia doesn't need support from the US. They have it in hand. They just need some of the pressure taking off them, which will happen.
Okay, that's funny, Gunnery Officer. That is actually kind of funny.
Well, yeah, that's the YF-71.
Imagine those as
So
general
YF-12.
issue during the Brusilov offensive. There will be lots of complaints about balancing.
But
Because if Battlefield wants anything to go by, that was a pretty damn good weapon to use as a medic.
well, yeah, if those are general issue, the to put it bluntly,
It's gonna be non-stop screeching on the forums.
Well, no, never mind that. They'll just shatter the German lines. It'll not even be funny.
You're gonna march all the way to Berlin, boys.
Well, no, not that much, but they're going to at least push the Germans. Like the Austrians are going to be the ones really feeling the pinch here. They may even have to pull even more troops off the Italian front, which may even allow one of the battles of the Isonzo to be an Italian victory.
I thought at least one of them was a victory.
No, the Italians literally failed. Literally every single battle of the Isonzo was either a draw or an Austrian victory.
Oof.
If the tourist boom Brunel predicted happened sooner, what ship designs would we see besides the Great Eastern? Just
The SS Great Northern, even bigger.
no. You probably see Great Eastern was supposed to be this big thing to travel to Australia. You'd see. You wouldn't see more Great Easterns because it was Great Eastern made it abundantly clear that Brunel had reached too far. There just wasn't the demand for her, even with a tourist boom. And besides, it'd be better to have. Well, no, Bish, she needed the paddle wheels. She couldn't move without them.
Actually, now that I think about it, it would either be the Fedorov or the Chelvigozzi.
But yeah, so no, you just have more traditional liners, as we saw the liner beginning to appear at that time. Yeah, Bish, yeah, because they couldn't put two screws in, because they didn't have the capability to do that for that vessel at the time. She was so large, and also Brunel basically considered that it was safer to have these two different options anyway. Only if a vessel's so equipped, Hyder. Most paddle steamers are not. Paddle tugs are always equipped such, but it basically depends on if your paddle steamer has 2 separate engine plants or 1 engine plant. If it has 2 separate engine plants, one driving each of the paddles, then yes, it can turn on the spot. If it has a single engine plant, then no, it's just direct drive onto the paddles.
Some good stuff.
For the Royal Navy, which ship's survival was the luckiest? Lion.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Lion was saved not once, not twice, but thrice by multiple different actions from multiple different crew members. Red Fleet timeline has been shelved for now, but it will be dealt with. Well, it has been dealt with, but I didn't record that one, sadly.
So, you mean to tell us you are going on an indefinite hiatus?
No, I'm not going on an indefinite hiatus. I'm here. I'm here. I'm doing ramblings. I've got Drakon next week to discuss Battlefleet Gothic. Whoops, spoilers.
Don't worry, it's only 12 people you spoiled. 12. Wait, hold on. 1, 2,
Yes,
3,
12.
4, 5,
12, Meta. 12. 12. It says 12. You don't have to...
9, 10. I'm just counting the regulars. I don't know if I'll count Marshall since I'm presuming they're new here. Profile picture, by the way.
Okay. More questions then, I guess.
Honestly, 12 might be the highest number I've counted to so far. Going up in the world.
I swear, they are all in there.
Usually, whenever I'm doing a Sudoku, I can only get up to 9.
Chair, do me a favour. Go and get the rest of them from the other server, would you? I see them in there.
You mean other server?
None of your business. Anyway, more questions, please.
Make them good ones too, please.
What topic brings me the most joy to ramble about? It depends what mood I'm in. Like, I was looking forward to expanding that Texas timeline today, but of course, that may
Got derailed.
Yeah, that may not be happening today, I think.
Which means it may require a little bit of a rename, so if you'll just give me a second.
Oh, no, you don't. That's my prerogative. You can take a running conk at yourself. You can. I trust you about as much as I trust anyone else to touch my glorious... If I can actually remember how to rename it. There we go.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Dragon said he might be here in a bit.
Well, that's helpful.
Cool.
I know the question was technically meant for free, but I'm going to answer it myself. It's when I get a chance to ramble. And after all, I have the better pipes out of us three.
You have better nothing.
I don't know, I want to hear his pipes.
Would the M22 have been useful during Operation Market Garden? Well, there's a reason why after the D-Day, airborne light tanks were never used again.
Yeah.
Because they kind of sucked. And
Yeah.
the space in a Hamilcar could be taken up by, oh, I don't know, a Jeep with a 6-pounder. Which is just a better option.
You're going to put on a voice like this ends up sending people to sleep. Kind of surprising, but
an ocean liner is intended to carry primarily... Okay, an ocean liner crosses... An ocean liner is a large vessel. Cation... That's an interesting chart, I have to admit.
Hmm.
It's a good chart. It's pretty much accurate. Although I wouldn't go to warships for any of that. I'd have just gone to merchant vessels, like full on, you know, Joe Blogg's Clyde Puffer with one paying passenger aboard going to Grimsby.
Yeah.
As the Radical.
I mean,
I would.
Good chance to diss the hotel. So there's this French pre-dreadnought. I'm sure we're all familiar. Okay, Fleet's not raised his voice at me, which means I can continue.
Meta? Shut
Oh,
up.
the Japanese hotel. Okay, no.
Shut up.
See, I was talking about the French hotel.
He wants to die so badly. I'll indulge him one of these days.
I'm right here, bitch.
Anyway.
I recently read about an interesting show. I think it was the hockey or something like that. Something along those lines.
Are you trying to get me to kill you?
I mean, it
Hockey?
would make a nice change.
There
The
you go.
hockey- Yeah,
That's the one I was talking about.
Hoche, I believe. Hockey. That's how the French pronounce it, isn't it?
Oh. Oh, the hockey. Oh, okay. Oh,
I
I'm with
swear to
you
God,
now.
I will.
Okay.
I will do something. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but by God, I'll do something. I will do something.
He's gonna do chair.
Fuck you.
No thanks.
rather not.
A chair's already lined up. I'm on a goddamn roll today.
Right, shall we get back to questions, please? Before I lose my
No,
mind.
I'm having too much fun.
No, I can't have music on because I'm recording, which means my usual level of tolerance for nonsense is less than it would otherwise be.
Hey, hold on. We need to go back to the EB52 briefly. I just realised I was looking at a nation-state's website, which means its actual credibility is rather heavily in question now.
It's nation states. Anything's heavily in question. 303 or 30.6. I'm not a gun person. I don't have an opinion. 557 is 556 is better than both calibers, objectively.
Is this the car monitor? Well, we call those smoke detectors.
Anyway.
303 or 30.6.
Oh yeah, this bloody thing. Oh, that left-hand picture brings back memories. Virtual Sailor 7. That brings back memories from my childhood. I used to play that game all the time. That brings back the good memories. I remember I used to have the Nautilus, and I'd go on submergence trips to the bottom of the Aegean Sea. Good times. Good times.
That's a bit reductionist, Sidious, but that's kind of the gist of it, really.
That's not fair.
I mean, to be fair, you did say we're not living in a democracy. Nothing's fair.
Do you think there was a way to save the British domestic airline industry? It's not dead. I don't know who told you it was dead, but it's not.
If you're thinking about the Concorde, yeah, you're not bringing those back, mate. They're not coming back.
Like, there are still domestic flights in the UK. Like, you can hop on a plane from London to Edinburgh, or Manchester to London, etc., etc., etc.
I mean, much like Princess Diana, you're not getting the Concorde back.
That's, Jesus, Chief, that is British designed planes. There still are British designed planes.
Yes, the world was better with Diana, as I keep hearing. Same time, though. I'm not old enough to remember Diana.
Oh, that bloody... If I have one more bloody comment said about that godforsaken drama queen, I am gonna lose my fucking nut. I'm sick of hearing about her. Sick of it. people's princess, my fucking ass.
Stop talking about Diana. I'm tired of hearing it.
Pompous rich girl gets married to a handsome prince. Handsome prince turns out not to be so handsome and a tiresome bore. Pompous rich girl then complains to everybody that, oh, her life's so sad. Pompous rich girl goes and has multiple affairs and then dies in a car accident. That's Diana's story in a nutshell.
Contributed to a lot of charities, which is kind of where the giant whole positive attitude of everyone comes from.
She knew how to flutter her eyes gracefully for the cameras, and so the public lapped it up.
The public's still lapping it up.
God, tell me about it.
I wish I could, but I don't really know enough people to give you a solid opinion. I don't know enough people, period. So if the Carl's universe has the British monarchy, does Carl Diana kill herself via French tunnel?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah, enough with the Diana bashing.
Which car would Hitler be
Car
in?
would be-
He's a Mercedes. He's a no, actually. What car
Mercedes
maker is it? No,
six-wheeler.
no. What car maker is Bohemian? He'd be a Skoda because he's Bohemian. Do you think?
I mean, I guess.
Do you think the Royal Navy's finest moment in World War II? Hunt for the Bismarck. Nope.
Yeah, see, that was what I was talking about.
No, that's German. Yes, a Skoda pretends to be a BMW.
I mean, either way, if you paint that in something like that strange beige that Hitler wore a lot,
Yeah,
you'd
basically,
probably
yeah.
have a...
And like he has like
Car.
a cap on. He has like a cap on.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's literally it. That's literally it. Anyway, shall we move on before I lose?
And when he needs to indicate, he lifts his arm up like in that Top Gear gag.
Yeah, he's saying take the Third Reich.
Yes.
Sidious, I do not have enough context for that. I'm more.
Okay, so it was like-
I'm more intrigued as to where A, it's in 1916. B, I'd like to know where the RN got 45 battleships. 3, I'd also like to know why those 45 battleships are in the Far East.
Plot convenience, mostly.
It's just a meaningless naval battle that makes no fucking sense, if you want my humble
So
opinion.
are most plot conveniences. Come on.
That's not what I meant, and you bloody well know it.
Look at the Heligoland Bite, okay? Look at the Heligoland Bite. When you're playing Battlefield 1, do you expect Elm-class destroyers to be there? No, you don't. They're there anyway because it's fun.
Well, that just... Are you...
Yeah, one Japanese destroyer was lost, and the Royal Navy is pretty much
Well, no.
indefinitely crippled.
Well, no. That's... No. That destroyer was lost on the... Oh, no. What? What? How did the IJN of 1916 win?
There was one destroyer, and the Royal Navy is indefinitely crippled. That's goddamn hilarious.
But why is the Royal Navy there? Like,
It's as I keep bloody saying.
the high
plot
seas fleet.
convenience.
It's not plot, it's a game of Hoi 4, you bloody lemon.
Okay, you can make up your own plot as you go along.
He's making me angry. You make me so very angry. I will
I think
need to
that's what-
use my EKQ explosive space modulator to destroy the Earth.
You think that's what's lost for most grand strategy game nowadays? Plot.
The THQ explosive space modulator. Where was the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
Easy there, Martian.
Just casual footage of fleet preparing to destroy Meta.
British designed the Sea Harrier, the Hurricane. I mean,
You
yeah,
are an
if you take-
aviation student. You should know this.
I bloody know that it's a little bit out of the ordinary. But yet, I guess it would be a good airliner if you're heading to either Argentina
Wait, I
or...
got it. What?
I'm looking at the image Codder's posted. British designed airliner.
Airliner? Oh, go home, Google, you're drunk.
The Hawk Hurricane and the Sea Harrier, they're listed. I mean, I don't really have any holidays to Argentina or France, or Germany planned, but in the event that any of you guys...
What an excellent submarine design. I sure hope the waves don't go above a flat calm.
Oh god, oh fuck.
But I am legally obligated as a member of staff on Drakenfell server to say Warspite. That is the end of that conversation. Move on swiftly.
Hang on. So am I. So if I were to say USS Enterprise, we'd be at an impasse.
Heresy!
Piece of shit. But as I said, we're at an impasse.
Cease your heresy. Also, see, like I love how it's armed with like a pair of 4-inch guns, as if that's gonna do something to an ironclad or a battleship. Like this is an era when the locomotive torpedo exists. It might be a relatively rubbish weapon, but it's still a locomotive torpedo. Why have you created this submarine armed with guns with no recourse to battery power? What is wrong with you?
Norman would be a 1,000 megaton, so a gigaton. So a 10 gigaton bomb. What is the point? What is the point of a 10 gigaton bomb? It is actually kind of terrifying. I mean, yeah, you're gonna show those soldiers.
A 7th Coalition, we fighting Napoleon again.
You're going to show the Soviets who's boss. You're also going to show the atmosphere who's boss. You're also going to show the resulting nitrogen, oxygen, and trace elements of gases in the atmosphere who's boss. You're probably going to show the core of the Earth who's boss as well.
All right. Have you got any more boss jokes you want to make before I boss you off the 5-story cliff that stood there behind you?
And I'm technically the boss in this trio.
No, you are.
Hey! Come on in.
I will not.
Look at the right side. Look at the right side of the screen. Look at where I am.
Meta, you seem to forget that just because I'm no longer an admiral does not mean I still don't wield the same soft power I once did, which is more than you will ever wield. I put you where you are. I can get rid of you just as easily.
Just you to know about soft power.
Do you think the short Sunderland is better than the I have no power? That is where you are entirely wrong.
Oh no, he has power. He just has slightly less this time. It's a Sonchomon.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a Sonchomon.
Short Sunderland is better than the PBM Mariner. I'd say they're about equal. Pretty much.
Sonchomon was kind of a strange one for me to use, to be honest. At least in Battlefield 1.
Oh, bloody Nora, Jim.
I mean, I don't really know which one which variation my favourite was. I think it was the one where you literally sent the pigeon out and called an artillery barrage on your own position. It was dumb and it took way too long, but
Nothing to do with me, Jim.
got a few kills. Is that it's a stealth fish bed. It's ridiculous. I like it. Actually, that reminds me. I was actually introduced to, I think it was an indie game that basically made a stealth grippin. Let me find it.
Oh god, he's gone off on one of his tangents again.
I think...
Not you, Sierra!
Nuclear option.
Oh no, Sierra's called in the mechanized detachment of the Russian Navy.
There it is, that was the one I was talking about.
Well, yeah, everyone likes what the Turks did to Yavuz. She's a good-looking ship.
It's a bit ridiculous, but we'll find the timestamp. Yeah, you've got like proper things, you've also got stealth weapons. Assets, everything. I think it was like a stealth one. It does indeed look like... Well, a Battlefield's not performing too well. You got games like BattleBit and whatever the hell this is.
I will admit,
alternative.
Disney's Nautilus has style. A lot of style. It has to be said. Yeah, but Combat Mission Black Sea is, well, Combat Mission games in general are, interesting games that attract an interesting group of people with interesting tactical acumens.
Sidious, you forget I'm a Brit as well. I think it was a bit strange that the Icelandics were extending their fishing permit, I think 200 kilometers beyond like the mainland. It was kind of feel like they were just pushing their luck, and while the singular death that resulted of it was avoidable and tragic.
Thoughts on the M24 Chaffee? An excellent late war light tank and an excellent tank for nations that aren't fighting in continental Europe during the Cold War. There is a reason why Chaffies are still in service to this day. Because they are actually rather good at their job. I know that is shocking, but it's very, very true. Opinions on a 140mm gun? We aren't there yet, Chief. We have no need of that yet, Chief. We're not there yet. We don't need it.
Did we ever get the answer to the question of the new Range Rover Sport on whether it could outrun a 120mm tank shell? If it could outrun a 120mm tank shell...
No, Clarkson got his teeth kicked in by it.
What a shame.
How good Sierra's gone. I like Sierra, but I do feel like I'm on tenterhooks whenever he's around. Bless his cotton socks.
You're really going to talk shit about him the moment he disappears? Do you talk shit about me the moment I disappear?
Well, I talk shit about you when you're here.
Good point. I talk shit about you when you're here. Fleet does not proceed to say good point. Nothing about this is unanimous. Sorry, that's a good question. You should probably have a little bit of tact when it comes to it. I know I do. There's some strange farming equipment. Jesus.
What the It's Clown World!
Is that a jet-powered tanker? I kind of like that. That is pretty good. I never thought I'd be on board with that, but that is pretty good.
God help us all.
actually, on a similar point, whatever that I'm never really found out. Whatever happened to Claveworks graphics?
I don't know.
What a stealth dragon.
Stealth Drac?
Oh, stealth dragon.
Oh, thank God, Dragon's here. Dragon, I don't have to invite you up. You do realise this, right?
Well, I was mostly just going to see what was actually going on first, but...
I need help, damn it!
Conversations.
Good, now that you're here, better. Bugger off!
What? That seems kind of rude.
It's alright. I am partially. Better, you're dragging my style down, Chief. You're dragging my style down.
I don't know with the conversations on the other Discord.
Oh, that.
Have you not seen Mep's creation?
No, I'm currently recording right now, so I'm trying to keep professionalism.
Give me a moment. I'll put a picture in the chat for people then, because
Now is not the time.
I want to see this.
sure it is.
I don't know what the hell's going on, but I want to see it.
Can you insult Hosh?
Well,
No.
we were talking a RP system where you can play Kansen and Ship Girls, and we're talking Ultimate Admirals designs, and Mep created this monstrosity. How many torpedoes do you want?
The middle mounts can't even fire.
Well, we did think that in the actual design they would be raised a little bit.
What the fuck is this? I hate it. I hate it.
Oh, by
I
the way,
hate it.
have you noticed they've got 17-inch guns?
Yes,
For some reason.
No, I don't want to see that anymore. No, it's gone. No, I don't want to see that anymore.
Yes, Sidious. That's what we said. There would be sort of a style where you'd see on certain Italian ships where they'd have some lower and some up higher.
Anyway, can we get more questions, please?
Well, Cutters has asked a good one. How are we feeling right now? I'm feeling lazy, fat, insane, angry.
I'm feeling
and
bloody insane, OP, polite, and a bit hipster.
You are not feeling polite by any measure.
Not to you.
I feel
but
there's
to
a
everyone else.
distinct lack of T14 there.
French onion ring.
What
makes Hoach a horrible design? It's not, and I don't care. You said I couldn't answer. I'm answering anyway because you are objectively wrong.
I'll be honest, I don't know if it was a good or a bad design, so I can't comment on that. It does look a little odd, though, I have to say.
Anyway, shall we move on, please? More questions. Like we were doing well. Like with the naval questions. Come on, bring the naval questions back.
The one about torsion bars.
Can you dogfight an A6M with a P40? Yes, and it happened multiple times.
Okay, I've got a question for you, Fleet. Would you condone the usage of putting C4 on a car and driving up to a tank?
That is a suicide bomb attack. Those are banned under international law for civilized warfare. I do not.
Okay, but do you condone it?
No.
Shameful.
You can buy an RPG-7 for less cost, and it doesn't cost someone their lives.
It only does 20 damage.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you, and you should feel bad, because fuck you and your stupid Battlefield references.
It took you that long to
play
get
the Battlefield game.
No, Meta. I got it. I just was trying to not engage with it, and it failed.
Yeah, you failed miserably.
Not to be confused with Crimea River.
To be fair, I only really came up with that idea because QWERTY put up an image of what I assume is like a Q5.
Nuclear T-95? Maybe, but it's hard to say. We don't know what the actual... There were never any good photos taken of it because it was a top-secret project, for fairly obvious reasons.
Is it a Q5?
It's some form of Chinese MacGuffin. Generic RP rules. What?
I have no... Intriguing, and I'm looking into it now.
What?
Seymour! Clonk! Just a piece of junk!
Just a warning, that is an editing link. You might want to change that.
Yeah, I'm not clicking that because this account is technically linked to my.
I'm not clicking that either because that is aggressively sketch.
That's why you've got incognito mode.
Anyway, questions, please. I
Before he uses
seriously,
mine
I
fully.
seriously need questions to keep going because I don't have
Yes,
music.
that is a Q5.
I don't have music to sit back and vibe to because I'm recording.
Okay, but you got my voice to vibe to.
You are not vibe.
No comment.
I don't know. I've heard good things about
I
it.
mean, that's a fairly effective anti-tank mine. I mean,
Like, that does seem like that would be a pretty nasty explosion.
like, it'll definitely blow off a track or probably even kill the bloody tank.
Well, just the sheer pressure from it going off alone could not spaghetti, but basically pulp the crew.
Indeed. I mean, it's a fairly effective... I mean, we see what happens in World War I when tanks do run over these improvised anti-tank mines. It is one of the main reasons, like, if you see a tank that is completely shattered and holed, it's usually hit one of those mines, whereas a tank that's been engaged by 75 or 77mm German field guns doesn't look like that. Like, it'll be a burnt-out husk, but it'll not be wrecked and holed with the guns falling out, unless the ammunition stowage was hit.
Sounds like a good night out. Oh, looks like a good night out.
If Germany holds out until 1945, which cities will the Allies vaporize with A-bombs? Which aircraft are they going to use? B-29, because the B-29 is the only aircraft that can carry an atomic bomb. The Lancaster was not fitted for it, and could not be arranged for it. Please,
I thought they could,
please
but they
would
had
people,
problems with
please would people stop spreading that false information? Mark Felton said it once, and the entire internet's abuzz with it now.
I thought Rex said that they theoretically could, but they would A, be caught in the blast radius, and B, would require a significant modification, similar to Tallboy style.
Therefore, the Lancaster cannot carry an atomic bomb.
Well, it can, it's just a one-way trip.
Therefore, it cannot carry an atomic bomb.
He just said it can, even if it
No,
will be a
no,
one-way
no,
trip.
no,
I
no,
think it's
if it's a guaranteed suicide mission, it is never going to carry an atomic bomb. Therefore, it cannot carry an atomic bomb.
Then why is it on the plane?
I guess you could use it as a transport, but I wouldn't want to.
It's a one-way transport, but the fact that it's going away tells me
Meta,
it can be
Meta, I
carry it.
swear to God, I am gonna...
Theoretically, by the sounds of it,
It
it
hit
might
me because
be
I
able
spoke
to
the
at
truth.
best, but
It'll be a B-29, and it'll be a major German city that isn't Berlin, in hopes to get the German general staff or other members of the government to force Hitler to surrender. And if Hitler doesn't, and if Hitler isn't couped, then basically it'll be Berlin. And the
when are you referring to, QWERTY?
If Chile went to war with Argentina instead of the
If
British,
China went to war, not Chile.
who would win in a naval engagement? China can't get there. They do not have the naval long-reach assets. In 1982, the Chinese fleet is not in a position to go and do that. It is barely into its proper blue water phase by that point. Honestly,
No,
it's the Argentine.
Okay, so yeah, if Chile went, it was
Okay, if Chile went to war, who would win a naval engagement? The Chileans, probably. Their navy's better maintained and better trained, and has slightly more
Also,
modern
just double
vessels.
checking, when do you mean exactly, QWERTY?
I assume he means 1982, Falklands War period.
Aye. Would actually be interesting to see how the actual South American dreadnought race would have fared against each other.
Basically, it's the Rivadavias fight to lose.
Yes.
It's not even a contest. The Rivadavias have more armor and 12-inch guns of a 50 caliber range, and they can deal with all the other ships faced against them. Whereas they're safe from the guns on the Minas Gerais class. They're actually immune to them at normal battle ranges. And while the 14-inch guns on Almirante Alatorre can hurt them, there are 2 of them and 1 Almirante Alatorre.
Didius, how are you getting in a hangar?
You're not.
I mean, it's dumb, but it's the kind of dumb that's just
No,
really resonates.
no, it's just the Minas Gerais. Yeah, the Minas Gerais class, the Brazilian dreadnoughts.
The earliest of them. Probably wouldn't do too well, I would suspect.
No, it's the Rivadavias. Fight to lose. They're the best ships of the entire South American dreadnought race. If Turkey joined World War II in 1941-42, would the US donate the 2 Arkansas-class battleships to the Turkish Navy? No.
Oh my god, is that a floating tower? Oh wait, just a cloud. My object permanent skills are not a full peak at the moment.
Why would the US donate them ships, would be my question.
Yeah.
Also, 41-42, that'll be basically just after Pearl Harbor. They kind of want those, more than likely, just because...
The standards
We can
are
make
all
an
at
AA
the bottom
platform.
of the ocean.
Yeah.
Any capital
It did-
ships we have are kind of vital.
You've
Little-
kind of got a
little bit.
bloodlust against the Japanese.
Alternative names on how to call carriers. You watched the dry dock yesterday, didn't you? Well, no, we call them aircraft carriers. What else are we supposed to call them? Like, there is no alternate name for them. You just call them aircraft carriers.
Floating aviation
Alternatively, you
platform.
call them a boat.
True.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Floating airports. That's again a mouthful. Aircraft carrying cruisers. They're not cruisers. Again, there's a reason. There is a reason why aircraft carrier was chosen as the name, because it's the one that makes the most sense while conveying what the ships actually are.
Okay, but hear me out. Boat.
Unless you can't
Really?
officially build carrier, but that was never a restriction applied to anybody. Like, no one was told in the treaty period you cannot build carriers. There was no building holiday on carriers. Post-World War
Even
II...
post-World War II, I don't think anyone was told they weren't allowed to build carriers then either.
the Japanese
Well, apart
were.
from the Japanese.
Yeah, the Japanese, Italians, and Germans were. But the only reason the Japanese have done that is to basically ease their population into the concept of having aircraft carriers again. Everyone
be honest,
knows.
they do look quite nice.
Everyone knows what they are. Just the Japanese want to ease their population into the concept of having carriers. That's it.
Makes sense, because from what I'm aware, Japan's really
The
set
Russian
against large
ships
military
are
expansion.
the
at
Russian
moment.
ships are called that to get round a clause in the Treaty of Montreux that says no aircraft carriers shall transit the Bosphorus for any reason ever. That's the only
As I
reason.
recall, helicopter carriers are a thing as
Yeah,
well,
that's
so it's
the-
close enough to that.
That's the only reason that they're called that. It's because no aircraft carriers are allowed to transit the Bosphorus for any reason.
Okay, here's just a slightly fun one then. For also people in chat. What is your favourite visually looking carrier? Doesn't matter how ineffective it is, in terms of pure visuals, what would you say your favourite is?
Can you refit the standard class battleships in World War II with new engines beside the new superstructure and electronics, and even fit them with contemporary 16-inch guns like on North Carolina and South Dakota? Yes. Yes, you can. I
Would you
don't
be able to
know. I don't know why you would, but you
Would you be able
can.
to refit some of the standards?
Yes.
Like, you know, the twin. I'm thinking the twin 14s. Would
Well,
you actually be able to get those to twin
the only
16s?
the only ones you can't are the ones that have the two twin 14 super firings, but the rest can be refitted. That's not a problem.
Me personally, I'll go with the easy answer of USS Enterprise.
I was expecting that one to pop up at some point.
Yeah. I'm not very imaginative, but when it comes to the question of what looks best versus what's actually good, I would end up pissing a lot of people if I said the Russian aircraft do actually look good.
Well, no, if that's what you actually like the look of, it's fair enough.
I've been trying to reach you about your tank's extended warranty. Funny.
See, if I were to say I like the Su-37, I could guarantee Fleet would probably go on a few-minute ramble about super maneuverability. It can't hold up against
No,
the obvious
I can,
will."
I can, I
quite
can,
like the look of
I
the
can,
SU-47.
I can respect their looks, but that's about as far as it goes.
That's why the question is in terms of just purely visuals, like what you like the look of. It's always semi-reasonable. Yeah.
Was the Sukhoi Su-27 family series of aircraft? Yeah, they look pretty damn good. Oh right, there's been 2 crashes.
You alright, Meta?
I was just looking through the Su-27 family box. I didn't realize there were 2 crashes, or there were 2 crashes. I just wasn't paying attention.
Personally, not a big fan of tumblehums, but hey, if you like them, why not?
Hello. I am, well, not a fan of tumble homes, I just don't hate them.
No, just personally, visually, they don't appeal to me, but...
It was one in Irkutsk and another one in Yeisk. An Su-30 and an Su-34, respectively. They do indeed. They do indeed, Bish.
Fucking rebellion having ass, fucking Confederate ironclads. Sorry, not Confederate,
Excuse
sorry, rebel ironclads.
Speaking of rebellion, there was a punk fest in town recently.
A what?
A what?
Punk fest.
Oh!
A
that's-
punk festival.
Yeah, they're weird, but are a thing.
They were a bit kooky. There was a lot of colours thrown about, but other than that, it's pretty interesting. I think it was like Rebellion 2023. Wait, hang on. I need you guys to shut up.
I thought I was gonna
There's
say
a
just
song on the radio that I realised sounds familiar.
Enterprise heavy carrier. Oh, dystopian wars. That was the
I need to
first.
actually look
That,
into
that
that.
was the first ramblings I did when I had Drac on, for something, and then it led to everything else happening after that. Good times. Good times.
That's awesome. I love that shockwave. It actually suits him quite well.
Most effective citadel. I don't know.
Insectitray.
It was you too. I was wondering why that sounded familiar.
How would the Civil American War be going like if it happens in the 1930s or 40s?
Why? Why?
Remember, Fleet, you're recording this, so try and speak properly.
Yeah, you don't
why
embarrass
would the
yourself.
American Civil War? Basically, I will direct you to Harry Turtledove's Southern Victory series. It's bloody, brutal, and downright horrific. And there's probably some form of final solution being done in the South, except involving people of color, not Jews.
Douglas, I've not found out about this. Oh god, this is good stuff.
I think Meta's having a food MacGuffin.
Yeah, I'm having a foodgasm right now.
That wasn't what I was going to say, but...
But I said it anyway, fuck you. Some good stuff.
So this is how you learn how to edit, right, Fleet?
I'm not editing this, I'm putting it up as is.
I thought as much, but...
I mean,
Like-
you're really not going to feed it through like Clipchamp, any video editing software, not
For ramblings?
appeal,
For
not appeal
ramblings?
to the
For ramblings?
appeal to the more neurodivergent community, and maybe have a little bit of Subway Surfers at the bottom of the screen, or Minecraft, or
What?
GTA 5. I don't know.
Professionals have standards.
Yes.
Yes, and
So
these
what are you?
professionals. and professionals, they end up using Subway Surfers, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5 at the bottom of their screens.
No, they're not professionals. They're stupid fucking Americans with too much time on their hands.
You mean too much time on their hands? It's probably one of the easiest things they could possibly do.
Sidious, please don't say shit like that. I actually like to think I take some pride in my work.
You do, to be fair.
That's like say
all
that's
joking
like,
aside.
That would be like telling Drac he's not a proper historian. I've seen what happens when that happens. It ain't pretty.
Remember the hair's grey hissy?
Yeah, that was a moment, wasn't it?
You know, for some reason, I thought the picture that Jesus posted was some sort of railway gun, until I actually looked at it a bit more closely.
It's an interesting conundrum. I'm honestly more interested in how it happened.
You're not the only one wondering that.
Because it can't have been a high-speed collision that have been more damage.
I'm almost wondering, because I'm sure there were some stations where there was basically tracks which were above another, and then some of that were on a lower elevation. Photoshop is indeed an option, but I'm sure there have been at least a couple of stations where there's been train level at 2 different levels.
No, that can't be Photoshop. It's too realistic,
Photoshop can be pretty good.
but not that good.
I've seen some pretty good stuff.
For fuck's sake, depth shots!
Also, is it bad that the design quote posted? I actually quite like.
That's not a bad.
In pure aesthetics, I like
that's
it.
not a bad design. I like the quad. I think those are 16s. Yeah, it looks.
No,
Yeah,
I think it's meant. I think it does say 51 centimeter, but we'll just ignore that bit.
that can't be right because you look at if you look at the scale, like the planes.
Yeah, considering they've got one.
Yeah, it's a similar size to Yamato. So yeah, I definitely. So the secondaries I definitely would say are 8-inch, twin 8-inch.
Agreed.
But I think the turrets are quad 16.1-inch guns,
Probably.
which would actually make that a slightly more reasonable, perhaps slightly faster design than Yamato.
I'm not sure what I think of those 2 guns on the front of it. In front of-
The blast effects from the forward mount would be terrible.
yeah, I would have perhaps moved them to just where the lip is, to perhaps closer to there, maybe, or not, or just not even had them at all.
Or well, no, I mean, honestly, they're fine as long as the primary battery's not firing directly forwards. Like, I presume you wouldn't have them manned if you were in a stern chase, because your primary battery would be engaging at that point. But if your primary battery's off, like to port or starboard, you can then man those 2 front turrets.
I'd be curious to see where all the AA guns would have been as well.
Well, yeah,
but
you can see
overall,
them.
as a design,
You can see them. You can see them. They're clustered around the rear superstructure.
But no, I mean, like, if it, as it got later, because they would have tried to add more 25s and whatever
Yeah,
they could
probably.
along the front of it. But no, overall, I think that does look good.
Oh, Jesus! That picture. That's one of those stupid. I think.
Whoops.
Oh no, it's not. I thought it was that stupid concept to put a loco on top of other bogies to have the train run bogies on the bogies because they couldn't fathom the idea that the loco's wheels went beyond the rails. Put the loco's wheels on top of other wheels and have the wheels turn the wheels on the rail, and that way your train will get faster speeds.
It was crazy once.
Are you talking about basically trying to, what's it called, multi-gear it? So, sort of opposite of reduction gears. That just sounds overcomplicated.
Bish, that is not I mean, I'm not an expert on American history, but I'd suggest we treat that topic with either a proper answer or none at all. Let's not give that a... Like, I gave it a half-hearted answer for the Civil War in the 30s because it's so far out of context for a timeline, it's just only being capable. But for actual historical context, I think that deserves a proper answer.
Let's give it a bit of a wide berth. Sorry.
You are going to be the death of me.
Thought that was the rest of us.
That as well.
So what? Oh, is one of us going to develop resurrection capabilities? Would be pretty useful.
I meant birth, for God's sake. BERTH.
I know. The Baldwin centipedes, they're an interesting concept, and that's pretty much...
Is that the one which has the Pennsylvania down the side of it?
Yes.
Oh. That is a lot of wheels. But I can't say it looks bad either.
Bro, one more lane, bro. We can just give you one more lane, we'll fix traffic, I swear.
Trains good, cars bad.
More trains would be nice.
Probably turn you into a measly pulp with a hammer for merely saying that.
Who?
No, Clarkson.
No. Well, actually, no. Jeremy Clarkson... Thing is, Jeremy Clarkson likes his freedom to own cars. Like, he likes the freedom to own cars and park them, in decent places. But he's not an... Like, a lot of people don't realise that a lot of the persona on Top Gear was just that. A persona.
Like did
Clarkson...
you remember the race? Where it was the train versus car versus bike? He actually loved being on the train.
Hey, was that the one where he took the Veyron?
No,
that was a different one. It was a race
between
the M1 doesn't exist.
Yeah, it was a Jaguar versus a
Black
bike of some sort, and then Tornado.
Hmm.
And Tornado won because
Did it?
Yes.
No, it didn't.
Yes,
Carl won because he got there and May was already there with a beer.
That's only because Tornado was held for a slack outside the Scottish border.
It was. And she had a whole bunch of problems along the way.
That kind of looks like something from Gotham City. Jesus, kind of like that.
Yeah, that was the period when the Americans and basically science fiction writers and basically everyone thought that cities were going to be massively rebuilt into skyscraper metropolises.
See, all that's missing is Batman perched on one of the gargoyles.
Oh, and the zeppelins between the buildings, and the aircraft buzzing around.
Yeah.
I was imagining Zeppelins being allowed to get that close in that sort of cityscape concept. It would be
police
terrifying.
Zeppelins.
Yes, police zeppelins.
This reminded me of
the police,
that War of the Worlds animated thing.
Yeah, this is the police. Oh yes, that thing. I remember that. That was the good times.
How effective were Zeppelins during World War One? Question.
Well, basically, they were the only aircraft capable of real long-range flight during the conflict. That is not up for debate. They were the only aircraft capable of carrying a useful load over a long distance. They were also capable of doing unique operations that aircraft just couldn't. So, for example, there was an instance during the Romanian campaign in 1916 where a single Zeppelin went to bomb a Romanian port city, and it was able to just float around at night and just drop one or two bombs here, then move over somewhere else, drop another one or two bombs on that thing, move somewhere else a little bit, then drop another one or two bombs over there. Obviously, they couldn't do that during the raids on Britain, because they had to basically keep moving because they were in formation and the British were sending aircraft up. But if an airship's relatively unmolested, it can just sit around and just drop bombs basically straight down. Wherever it damn well pleases. And for naval reconnaissance, they were very good. And then, of course, there is the Afrika Schiff, which was a extended Zeppelin that was basically determined to be a vessel that was designed to travel all the way to German East Africa to resupply the garrison out there with equipment, and the entire airship was meant to be consumed on arrival, so its gas cells were supposed to be consumed for bandages and basically because they're made out of gold beater skin, fuel for the like food for certain for certain animals that they were using. The airship's covering was supposed to be made into uniforms. Its engines were to be used as generators. It was supposed to carry 1,000 rifles, a million rounds of ammunition, and about 6 machine guns, which would then be taken off the airship and used. I think it was also going to carry 4 field guns. But of course, the airship was tragically destroyed before it got to go. However, another airship was rapidly converted for the role, and that did set off. Although when it was halfway there, the garrison surrendered, and she had to turn round. But it did make that airship the craft that had travelled the furthest of literally any aircraft, and that record would stand for basically until the airship crossings of the transatlantic. It is an interesting alt history that I think doesn't get enough attention. What if the first Africa ship had actually sailed, and Letto von Vorbeck had been supplied in East Africa? How much longer would he have held out? It's hard to say. Hard to fight warship. No, you do not fight a warship in a Zeppelin. It ends one way.
Didn't that actually happen between a submarine and a Zeppelin?
Well, yeah. World War I airships, but airships in general, are something that World War I anti-aircraft gunners can actually hit on ships. There are even cases where U-boats would have gun duels with their deck guns that weren't even equipped with flak rounds with British blimps, and downed a few blimps every once in a while. And if that's a blimp going against a U-boat in World War I, how well do you think an airship's going to do against something like a cruiser or a destroyer? There's a reason why airships didn't really carry out bombing raids against ships at sea or ships in harbour.
I mean, Bish, they did manage to pull it off in the the animated series. I think it was a police Zeppelin where Batman... I think Batman was actually hanging off a police Zeppelin when he had that giant scarecrow hallucination when he pulled off that iconic "I am vengeance, I am the night."
Of course, if you want
to say which Batman animated.
Of course, if you want to talk about airships fighting naval vessels, then of course there's only one airship I know of that really stands a chance against naval vessels. It's large, and it's got 3 prongs. And it's got a lovely orange and black paint scheme.
To answer your question, Dragon, I'm talking about the one from 1992, the one where they got Kevin Conroy in.
Yeah, Meta, you know what airship I'm talking about. Large, 3-pronged, drops bombs out in the middle of it. Can also drop
I know
big
you're talking
bomb.
about something from Last Exile.
Good heavens, no. Red Alert? No! Ugh.
It does sound a bit like a Kirov, admittedly, but
No.
apart from the colour scheme.
No, it's
Fleet,
got...
I've gone full... wait, I can't say that word, can I? I've gone full stupid.
Meta, it picks up a submarine out of the water.
Why don't, instead of, beating around the bush, you actually say what it is for the rest of us?
Say it! Okay, I've gone full stupid.
It gets blown up by a battleship.
You're not helping!
Nothing about that helps.
At this point, I
The submarine is called the Nautilus.
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
Nothing.
That's an airship.
That is... It's...
That's not a spaceship. That's an airship.
Goes into goddamn space as far as...
Actually,
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
The
The flying battleships aren't space-worthy. You
I
think
should
of
have
Red
mentioned
Noah?
what's it called?
Why does it go into orbit in space?
That's Red Noah, you fucking git.
Is it related to Blue Noah?
Yes, Blue Noah is the blue saucer.
I was making a space battle.
No, Bish, the flying battleships were new builds on Earth.
Wait. Are those are the Iron Sky ones Connor's posted. Those
Yeah, I should have brought that one up because the case of that would have fit perfectly.
Yeah, those are spaceships. The Nautilus that you brought up was a spaceship.
Yes,
No matter how much
the two Nautiluses were, but basically everything Neo-Atlantean that we see is built on Earth. The only exception is when they get Red Noah right at the end.
One that you brought up, yes, that goes into space.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Just deploy Blue Noah. I'm sure it's fine.
We've watched this. We've all seen it go into space.
That's Red Noah.
okay, but it goes into space, and so does
Yeah.
the goddamn.
No.
That's
Like,
actually
all right,
the worst
right,
design,
sod
in
it.
fact.
Yeah. Oh, you're about to disprove us.
I am.
We've literally seen the launch sequence. We've literally seen it.
No, I'm talking about. I'm talking about this.
I have no clue what that is. Also, I don't think
the
that
hell is
counts as
that?
an airship.
That's the flying battleship I've been on about.
That's not an airship.
That is an airship.
Where's the airship bit? Well, apart from the fact that it flies in the air, but
That is an airship.
not the type we were previously discussing, which was zeppelins.
Yeah, we were discussing the ones that folded its wings backwards and then blasted off into space.
That's
Where
no
did this
Nautilus.
come from? Okay, it goes into space.
Yes, it does. But I wasn't on about New Nautilus. I was on about like when I kept saying Neo-Atlantean. Do you think I was saying it for my own bloody health?
You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot for not trying to disprove us earlier.
Well, why didn't you just say it to begin with?
Because I hoped you would remember. I've
never seen that in my life.
Meta, I put you through that anime at least 4 times.
Yes, and I can't even
I'm
remember
glad I didn't.
years of my previous life.
You will be put through it at some point.
No, I
I
won't.
beg
I
to
will,
differ.
I will conveniently have something else to do.
I'll fucking Nadia the fuck out
No,
of
they
here.
only want.
I beg your pardon.
Oh please, yeah. Look. No. I love Atlantis, the film. I love it to bits and pieces. But the similarities are a bit too close to ignore. Blue crystal that powers all of the weapons, and keeps people alive and stores their souls inside it, and can take possession of the royalty of Atlantis. That's totally not blue water, guys. We swear.
Okay, but at the same time, Bish, anything can make a really cool anime if studios stop being a little
Ooh,
bitch
that's
about it.
the name.
Nautilus?
No. It was.
Which one?
It
The one
was
from Codders is posted off.
no, the one
Like, if
Jesus
it's-
posted.
yeah.
It's from one of the Jules Verne's book. It's the flying ship that goes by rotors, but I can't
I prefer, the
remember.
submarine
I
from
can't remember.
Atlantis.
Albatross. Yeah, that's the one. The Albatross. Yeah,
Look at
the
something
Albatross.
like
That's the one. Yeah, I knew it had a name. I couldn't remember it.
Look at something like Thunderbirds. That'll look great as an anime.
Hmm?
Or Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thunderbirds
no.
was made into an anime.
Well, no, it wasn't.
It was.
It wasn't.
It
By
was.
definition, it wasn't an anime.
No.
Are you
what
referring to
about-
the new one, or
No, did you not know the Japanese spin-off Thunderbirds 2166
No.
or something? That was an anime?
Oh,
not off the top of
wait,
my head?
okay.
No.
Okay, I stand corrected. Yes, it was indeed. Turned
Yes,
into
I told there was a Thunderbirds anime and it was proper. But it was a Meijiverse anime as well, which is even more hilarious. Which is just
Wait, if that's the key, why doesn't it have 3 guns at the rear?
boom. That's an image. That's an image right there, like that Marshall's just posted. top quad.
They also
That
happen
just
to
doesn't
be
make me think Thunderbirds at all, unfortunately.
Well, no, of course it doesn't. It's
Yeah,
it's
even the design doesn't look it.
no, I know. It's incredibly weird, and we're all just sat here going, no, I don't really.
Evangelion being the Thunderbirds on it. Well, which Evangelion at that point?
No.
Actually, Marshall, I've got to ask: did you put the light bulb in, or did you smash it?
General's Fallout Wars dirigible balloon. What is General's Fallout Wars?
Well, also, actually, I guess that's wrong one.
I mean, I know exactly what the profile picture's from, Marshall. I've played that game too. Yeah, me too. I don't think I could live with myself leaving them in pretty much a decayed
Mod for
world.
CNC Generals? Ooh! Fleet intrigued.
Fuck.
That's a thought then. What's your opinion on some of the airships from Guns of Icarus fleet?
I'm not keen.
Fair enough.
I'm genuinely not keen. Basically down to the fact that, to put it mildly, they don't work.
Well, that's not surprising.
They're looking to carry too much weight, and also, why are they using airships to do all this? I know
To be
that
fair, most of them are very small.
I know the US is divided. I get that, but cross-border railway travel is a thing. Like, railways don't just stop working because you throw up a border in their way. Cross-border railway
I do
travel
seem to
has
recall
been
there was a fair few reasons why that sort of thing didn't work. Like, trains do still work, but there also was, horrific storms that would tear apart a train and its track, and at least, the actual airship could move. Track can't.
now.
To answer your question, Sidious, I think that's actually working as intended. If you've watched cartoons where they try to pan onto a giant map when you look at the protagonists.
The thing is, it's obvious what the plan is. They're going to encircle Paris and then travel onwards. They're going to do a big loop around Paris.
It's absolute irony that
It's
British
the Tour de France. Whee!
Yeah, but at the same time, though, I think it's working as intended. The loop is intended.
Why is it bleeding? It's not possible. Why? It's just not. Tell me why, you stupid bastard.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
Like me and Cindy.
Hang on. Is that lozenge camouflage on a airship in space?
What the fuck? Okay, this is getting a little bit silly even for me.
This is okay. More. I demand more.
Honest opinion on this idea. Sidious, why on earth would you arm a civilian merchant vessel? It is against multiple rules of war, and quite literally opens the season on every single merchant vessel worldwide. It is a terrible idea.
Lee, you just described why it's a really good idea.
Oh my god, German tripods, whatever shall we do?
To be fair though, wasn't the idea of arming merchantmen a thing?
Well, yeah, but that's they'd either be openly armed or they'd be merchant raiders. Whereas that is the thing is, and that was in a that was also in a non-globalized economy. We now live in a globalized economy.
But see, what I'm hearing here is like excuses.
Because I seem to recall there was a good number that did hide their guns and sort of pop them open if anyone got too close.
Q ships. Yeah, they'd wait for a submarine to come close, then they pop up the deck guns.
And
just
yeah,
like-
well, yes, and also you've got the Hilfskreuzer of World War One and World War Two. But again, these were non-globalized economies, where the world is not dependent on global trade. The world is now dependent on global trade.
You guys remember the mission in Black Ops 2 where you were blowing up those hypersonic missiles in Singapore?
No,
Never played one of the games.
I
was gonna say, because looking at those missiles loaded into containers reminded me of that mission from Black Ops 2. You're pretty much doing the exact same thing, just blowing up the missiles on a container ship. It was fun.
It reminds me of Ace Combat to a degree with the drones in Ace Combat 7.
Hiding the drones in the containers, which I believe a few of them were on ships, though.
Oh, there was a lot of them on ships that were transported to the other side of the world to stop them trying to attack.
Kind of how Russia pretty much invaded like the vast majority of the country again.
Mm.
They didn't learn their lesson from Ace Combat 4.
Yeah. Has anyone in Ace Combat ever really learned their lesson?
I do not think so. Like, if you look at Ace Combat 6, like one of their nations pretty much got plummeted by an asteroid. They went into economic turmoil. It was an absolute shit show all around. They decided to build a seaborne heavy command cruiser that could also go into the air, carry a bunch of flankers, elite flankers, and I think it was the largest airship at that point. It was ridiculous.
But they also decided that, yes, let's use our stationary railgun that cannot change its angle of attack at all, and let's just start shooting their capital with it. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
Yeah, let's just start shooting aircraft with it as well.
Oh, you mean the stationary railgun that isn't stationary?
It primarily is. It can't move.
Yes, it can.
You can move on rails, but outside of like a little
No,
circle.
it's which one are we talking about?
The one from 6.
You mean the one that's
No.
mounted on an iceberg so it can deliberately be pivoted?
Oh wait, I was thinking of the ones in Ace Combat 5. Yeah, Ace Combat 6, the one that was pretty much on an iceberg. Yeah, that
Chandelier.
can't-
Yeah,
It's Chandelier,
yeah.
that's the one.
Chandelier was literally built on an iceberg so that it could be turned. That was the whole point.
It could be turned, it could then
Elevate
pretty
and
much-
depress.
But even that was not a good idea by any measure.
Nope. It was built on top of an iceberg, but on average, it basically couldn't rotate. So it could, ish. It depends on the sea conditions, which that's a bad idea.
Absolutely.
Brilliant idea. Well, what if we make this giant railgun based on how the sea is in the middle of an ice field?
Yeah.
Also, for being so much bigger than Stonehenge, it was so much less effective.
Yeah, because at least with Stonehenge, they could actually point way upwards. Definitely actually at the asteroids to actually make a genuine effort to shoot them
Yeah.
down, even if...
Because I'm not even sure it would have the elevation needed to hit the asteroids.
Yeah. Chandelier sucked.
The whole thing with Chandelier is that the railgun is just to kick the round out of the atmosphere and get it near the asteroids. The asteroids are actually engaged by a pair of nuclear-tipped cruise missiles within the projectile. So the whole...
Insidious as
I feel Stonehenge was probably more effective
well,
overall.
yeah,
than-
Stonehenge proved itself.
Well, Stonehenge also was actually finished, whereas this wasn't fully.
It wasn't it moving towards Grace Mary, like inside the capital city, like 40, it's like 4 knots, like really, really, really slow. Like I could probably
Possibly.
run faster.
I wonder what Ace Combat's addiction to railguns is.
I don't know.
Eventually you get the Alicorn, where let's mount a giant railgun on a submarine.
We don't talk about the Alicorn. I'll tell you what, we'll have a 15-minute spoiler session for what will probably be next week's... not next week's. Probably
This in fact class is
tomorrow's.
glorious.
Probably tomorrow's ramblings, seeing as today's ramblings was kind of off-railed by Cow. But yeah, so Seedodders, would you kindly post some of the nice images you've been making? I assume you've probably made some more as well, knowing you, because knowing Seedodders, he won't have stopped at 4.
Like, the Alicon itself, it has the same level
Missiles for
of
Splody. Missiles for Splody. So true. So true.
You have the vertical launch system, you have ship guns, you have closing weapon systems, you have a jammer, you have aircraft that can launch from it.
Could the Alicon launch burst missiles, or did they remove that capability?
I
think back to the mission, I think they might have had a weaker version.
I think
there's the mission.
I think they used them all up during the second mission. You know, when
yeah, I can't remember if those are railgun rounds or actual burst missiles.
I'm not sure actually. Some actually could be railgun rounds.
I think they are railgun bursts in comparison to the actual missiles, which is found on the Synfaxi class.
Yeah.
Which those missiles are horrifying.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that nothing survives below 5,000 feet. Nothing.
Apart from the Kestrel.
Somehow. Plot demanded it. I'm not going to complain.
My assumption is it was just barely outside the radius, but... Or just barely in and only got heavily damaged.
Yeah.
Basically.
But with the Alicon, you got like a multitude of weapons. Like, he managed to condense the sort of batshit insanity that you would expect from an airship like an earlier game, and put it in the sea in a much smaller, bite-sized form.
Like, as an actual ship, like, going off Ace Combat, because it makes no sense at all outside of it, it is a pretty good design for Ace Combat.
That is true.
Too bad it was piloted by another idiot.
And even if the captain was a little bit, the rails, shall we say?
Aha.
Yes. To be fair, being stuck at the bottom of the sea for 2 years would do that to someone.
Would it do that, though? A death ray concept.
How can they fuck down there?
Actually, then, to be fair, living for 2 years in a 15-degree list. That's enough to drive anyone slightly mad.
2 years at the bottom of the sea, in a small confined space, in incredibly stressful conditions. Yeah, pretty much guaranteed.
To send you absolutely insane. That is unsurprising.
Yeah, so of course
I think though we've pretty much our audience has slightly died, sadly, but that's okay.
Halved.
But that's okay. We can call this here for this evening. It's been it'll be a fairly good first ramblings to go up on the channel, so that'll be good. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, folks, and the next ramblings will actually be put up tomorrow, because I definitely want to, because I can't put off the Civil War until next week, because next week Drac is coming for a discussion of... Hang on, what's the matter, Seedodders? What can I do for you?
Well, can you shield the channel first? I want to see this when you upload it.
Well, I can't shield the channel here, but the link is in the other server that I have. And I think if you search up the Fleet of Oceans, you'll find it.
A moment.
Oh god, Seedodders is saying, hang on. Oh no, here we go.
Well, yeah.
Oh yes, so consider this a taster for what is to come tomorrow. Seedodders, if you could really produce one or two more ships, that'd be great. Please, we may need more, like some proto ironclad dreadnoughts or something. Please.
I despise those short
and also Seedodders, since this will really appeal to you, some form of weird large submarine armed with breech loading turret guns.
Okay, well, now we're pretty much all wrapped up. I'm gonna go take a piss.
Yeah, thank you, Meta, for that lovely thing before I finished recording.
And that's why I mentioned you might want to edit stuff. But hey, it's ramblings. This is normal.
Yes, this is part of the whole show, isn't it? Like, I mean, there are podcasts that are worse than this that go up on the internet, you know. So.
And I had a shit this morning, so
Anyway.
I don't need to take that.
Anyway, so thank you very much.
Save
Take
yourselves.
care. Yeah, take care. Thank you for enjoying, and the next one will be up tomorrow.